in a nutshell, short summary, what do you, Brain Mechanics, what is your business?
We are that's a good question. we do quite a bit of research, so we do quite a bit of R&D, and our R&D's focus on health technologies, and that are exponential type of health technologies that allow us to quantify the human body at a deep level. We call it big data of the body. So things like brain functions, breath, cardiovascular, and things like that. And we look at the human body not as a bunch of different like parts of the body, but a collection of systems. They're all integrated. So that's on the technology side. And we're also putting together quite a bit of different modalities that are the best modalities, more impactful modalities for people to be able to help themselves and reach a level where their obstructions of the flow, thoughts, emotions, feelings, parts of the biology could be, cleared up so that they can actually live a life full of peace, ease, and flow.
Okay, so that's amazing that we have you in our lives now, because we are at a point with Centerpoint meditation method to where we're looking for help and assistance on getting more qualitative, quantitative research on how Centerpoint is affecting our bodies. And in the module video before that everybody watched, that you've watched, it's over the theories and how Centerpoint is working, and these visual cues, or these ways that people can think about what's happening in their bodies, can enhance the effect. Would that be correct?
I would say so, yes.
Giving you better quality understanding over what's happening, and the more you kind of dive in on what you're feeling is happening, then we can come up with more subjective theories that aren't theories anymore, because they're repeatable and it is felt and understood by everybody, because they feel the difference. They feel that thing happening that I was describing in the in the video before.
We can actually see, we use nonlinear system biology tools, which are fairly common in Germany and Japan and Russia and China and places like this, right? Energetic medicine, and we can actually visualize the field, and then when you're talking about pulling, we can actually see outbursts of energy pulling from a person's side of the head, for example. So we're to the point now where we can actually visualize that. And we can do that before and after Centerpoint meditation. We could also visualize the impact of Centerpoint meditation on the chakra system. I know out here is chakras and things like this, and meridians are not considered, maybe science, but in places like China, traditional Chinese medicine, meridians have been studied for thousands of years. And also in Ayurvedic medicine from India, these are thousands of years as well. So what sounds like hokey talking about chakras, in reality, those are sciences that have been studied for many, many years. And the cool thing is, with these tools, we can actually visualize to see what the impact is on the chakras, from energy outputs, increasing energy outputs in the chakras, to even alignment from extroverted to introverted, and fully alignment. So we could see what the energy output as well is on these chakras. So, imagine two cars going in at 60 miles an hour. One of them is in third gear, the other one is sixth gear. The one is in third gear is having to work a lot more. So you can actually visualize the output from the field as well as in an organ level. So absolutely, we're ready for you, Matt.
I love it. We are also here with Denise Faith, and Denise she was learned Centerpoint with me, and now she's kind of in the co-creation process of sharing this meditation technique to the entire world. So she's here with us too, and she works in many different energy techniques and other body movement techniques. Everything that you can think of, she kind of makes it her own mix, and I'm happy to have her with us. And I want her, if she has any question for you.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, Karim. Yes, I actually wanted to talk to you. I wanted you to tell the people about the times that we have done center point with some of your clients, when we've done a group Zoom and taken them through center point without even having to have the clinical data in your own observation, can you just talk about some of the things that you've seen happen with some of the clients?
Yeah, so absolutely. I'll just take case in point, the last session that we had. So we had a gentleman, his name was Paul, and Paul has had 3 different heart attacks. His first one starting when he was 17. And Paul is 48 years old, and he's had level 9 or even 10 pain, fluctuates between 9 and 10 since he was 17. And so Paul is used to living with pain. He stated he's in pain about 23 hours of the day. So we brought him in as part of this research effort to measure before and after to see what happened. So we did things on the scientific side. We measured brain frequency, so we could say what kind of frequencies are activated in the brain. We did something called heart rate variability, which measures it's a good indicator for overall health and heartbeats and things like your autonomic nervous system. And we also did a nonlinear systems biology assessment, which we can measure chakras and things like that. So maybe we can post some of these things with Paul here, Matt, if you like. We can include the before and afters of Paul and to supplement this. But Paul is, he's also going through a divorce and he's having a hard time in life. And when he came in, his demeanor and everything was almost like he had a little black cloud around him, his aura, or his being, just walking around with a dark cloud in his demeanor. And so we did a 45-minute session with him where Matt and Denise took them through a center point meditation. We did a global center point meditation. And what happened was his back was the I guess the injury that was causing him the most pain, and which was a good candidate.
His shoulders too.
Well, his back was the main one, and then his shoulder. He also has Paul also has gout, which is a very, very painful condition. These are like little crystals that get lodged in your joints. Ow. And his mobility, I think he could extend it to about a 15 degree angle in his arms. He couldn't really lift them up at all. And so the first session that we did with him, literally his back pain that hasn't gone away since he was 17 went away. It was just beautiful to see the smile on his face. Just, he's surprised. He's going, that my pain is gone. And I mean, and it was like, I mean, initially he's like, huh. And it's like, oh, my pain is gone. And this is a part of himself that he's carried for decades. And then, so that's cool. You're saying, okay, he could, his pain is gone. But, just hearing somebody, like, maybe it's subjective, maybe this person's just like making it up, whatever. But, but then we then did a follow-up with, after the back, we did a session, I mean, in the same session, but another part of the session where we worked on his arms. And I believe we did center point global along with looking at his arm in places where he can actually increase the range of motion on his arm. And he went from like this to like this. And that was so impressive because you can't fake that. Like, you can't, like, the guy, I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is gout. This is like little crystals poking at your joints and feeling you like so much pain. And
that was amazing. And it was amazing because he clearly did not expect any of that to happen. And that's what was so cool, because
surprised. Yeah.
He was so surprised.
Yeah, he had a surprise. He was like what? Yeah, and he seemed like he was also a very natural meditator. Like the way he moved, the way he flowed and everything was very natural, and he really took on to the practice. Since then, we're still looking at the results of the lab, our measurements of brain frequencies and HRV and things like that, and entropic field. So we'll be sharing those. But we had a follow-up with Paul,
Did you want to
Um,
share any of it? Did you have
What's
it?
that? Yeah, I don't have it here now. We still have to do the reports and everything, but I'll share, we could supplement this with some like images or something like that. Maybe we'll supplement it with a follow-up where I can just present the findings there if you like,
Yeah, that's
of what we did. But then we did a follow-up with him 3 days later, and he went from 23 hours a day of in pain to I think maybe like 4 or 5. And the pain went from a level 10 to a level 2. So even what his pain is, this is a guy who could barely sleep. Like he could get up, he was woken up by his pain, never got any rest. I think sleep, he got maybe 3 hours a day for years. And talked to him, he's like, sleep's not a problem. We're gonna actually be doing a sleep study. You go, I don't have a sleep problem anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, the science, we can look at it and all that, but let me tell you, this is a real human being going through a real life experience that has built most of his life feeling a signal of pain and constant pain and agony and trying to navigate life with that much pain. And when I saw him, he's glowing. He's got a glow about him. He just doesn't, that cloud is gone and he's glowing and he's like, I've got a different outlook in life. Like I'm ready.
And that was
Right?
after 45 minutes.
Well, yeah, 45 minutes. The follow-up call is when he actually 3 days. Well, we had a 45-minute, but 3-day follow-up, and on 3 follow-up, he just kind of expressed what the results were, on a daily basis, the pain. The other part that he mentioned was that, like he's been doing it constantly. He said it's so easy to do. And he's like, how often are you doing it? He's like, I'm doing it like every hour, pretty much. Just find my flow, and I'm like, whatever. And it was interesting because we had a conversation, and my experience with Centerpoint, it's like kind of taking, like, once you have this rewiring of your field or your biology, it's like tending to a garden, right? And like he's planted something in his garden, it's starting to sprout, and I advise him to protect it. So the way when we met with Paul, what we were sharing with him is that this practice is similar to Vipassana meditation, which is a practice where you get into equanimity. And I've been practicing meditation, Vipassana tradition for about 16 years. A serious meditator, taking about 10-day courses, 10 10-day courses, and said many different seminars and things. And what we see Centerpoint being is like it's a practice that this person, if you think about his body, and his body meaning like his mind, body, and spirit and everything combined, or his being, I guess, it's like a garden, right? And we've collected all these different reactions and things. It's like weeds coming into our garden, right? And what we felt like when we did the work that we did together with Paul, and I didn't really see it as a therapist and as a person, but as working together to help each other, was that we did this practice, and this practice is Centerpoint is like a new seedling or sprouting that you have in your garden, right? And so my advice to him was like, hey, like just like in a garden, you protect it, you put a fence around it. People are going to try to say, hey, this practice and that, this and that and the other, or try to kind of knock it down or whatever, because you're getting such great results. You got to protect it, and you do it by practicing. And the more you tend to your garden, the better you're going to get. It's like a whole process where you can't really remove all your weeds in one session, but we remove them a little bit at a time. It's very gradual, but also very powerful, because it wasn't like, he went from no pain to from having a lot of pain to no pain. So he's feeling it that way, and I asked him, well, how often are you tending to your garden? He goes, like every hour. And I'm like, wow, you're gonna have like a bonsai garden where it's like beautiful. It's like a Zen type garden everywhere. It's like you're gonna be super manicured. He's like, that's what I want. He's smiling. Well, that's what I'm looking for. So he's cultivating his beautiful Zen garden, and you see it. He's glowing. He's in a completely different state.
That's amazing, and also amazing because yes, he might be doing it every hour, but it literally takes 7 seconds to do it. So it's not like a huge time commitment. When you say every hour, that's.
And so he works at a body shop place, and he said that he's actually doing it, but people are not even noticing that he's doing it.
Yeah, that's,
So
That's
he's
the beauty.
kind of
I
like
was
just
just doing it.
he's
I don't know
not
if you
going
guys
like,
just
oh,
did
if I
it,
just
I was doing it.
we haven't coached him that way. He's just intuitively learned from the practice that if I just lean here, you know, it feels good. And people are like, man, I'm leaning maybe an inch or two, you know, it's not much. But he says constantly, the more he's doing it, the more results he's getting. So he's got a backlog of reactions since he was 17. And now he's removing all these weeds. And he's seeing that the more he does, the better he's feeling. So super powerful.
That's amazing. And that's just, Paul is just one of a few different people. So he's not the only one. Like you've been able to see, which is
Absolutely. I mean, we had some experiences. We had a lady who, since she was 8, she had the same thing, like level 9 pain. Yeah, and it was really just wonderful to see. She was a very high energy lady, but then, you know, the pain kicked in, and so she's been having issues there. She came all the way from India, and she had fantastic results too. Like she just, in a matter of 40, but it's what's beautiful is almost like I like to just capture the reaction of people, you know, constantly as they go, because they're surprised, first of all, and they're feeling, am I not feeling this pain anymore? Like, really? And then after that, it's like, I don't feel it anymore. And then after that, it's like the smile just comes out. They're like, wonderful.
that's when you look at him and say, that's cool.
Yeah.
And this is what makes you want to dig deeper into all of your knowledge with the brain stuff and all of the scientific stuff to see, you know, just to get it documented that these things are actually happening in the brain.
And what we're seeing is these are things that honestly, like with the lady in India, the data sets, and we're seeing constantly, but we're seeing like very significant improvements of heart rate variability, which anybody who's in the health industry, anybody who knows this stuff, there's a bunch of people tracking with heart rate variability trackers and stuff like that. They're all tracking, but they're not affecting heart rate variability, you see? And right now, medicine's not affecting heart rate variability. They can't, chemicals don't affect it. And what we found is we're finding like profound, in a matter of 45-minute sessions, people drastically improving the heart rate variability that I've shared it with some colleagues. They're going like, no way, like this is not, they think it's like the changes that we're seeing are not meant to happen in 45 minutes by the current approaches. They can't do that. It might take years to actually see that trend where it's all very gradual and things like that. But it's not currently something that you see on a regular basis. And we're seeing, that's a big indicator. We're seeing shifts when we actually take in their tropic field and measure it. We're seeing how, you know, their field might be patchy looking. They have areas where they have gaps and things. And when we finish with the center point meditation, they're much more uniform. And you could actually see, for example, a person who has a hip problem, you could see a flare up in the hip before center point, and then after center point, there's no more flare-ups. And so the human body has a material aspect of it, energetic and vibrational. And what we're witnessing with center point is the energetic aspect of it being impacted, so that with a sensor that can measure that, you know, by all intents and purposes, that person said, oh, my injury is still bugging me a little bit, but it's still kind of there. But energetically, that was never resolved. And now we're seeing energetic resolutions through center point.
Amazing. Some might even say revolutionary.
Revolutionary. That's right. Or revolutionary. The revolution of evolution.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to go over this stuff. You know, we just wanted to make that module 3 just kind of as a share over of visualizations and theories that we're working with, and your validation of like where we're going with it and what you're able to do, so we can get more of that information to kind of put that theory into more of a concept, so, you know, and then it become a thing, because it is what it is. It's what we're observing. So we do appreciate the fact that we get to work with you on this and move further in the future. I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. I'm happy and honored to you supporting this mission. I think you know, center point no doubt takes you to a point where you experience equanimity, where you can actually feel rest, peace, ease, and flow. And once people experience this, it's a transformative experience. It changes you. It creates wisdom within yourself and your body, your spirit, you know, and your mind. And I'm humbled and honored to have met you and Denise and to supporting the mission. And you can count on us to, round up some more scientific evidence to support this, because people need to see sometimes the evidence. But that is knowledge. I think where we're getting is to, taking people to the wisdom moment where they can experience this. And I think ultimately that's where it's at. And we look forward to continue to support the mission. And we're grateful and happy and thankful to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And enjoy module 4, everybody watching the video.